Okay, so today is Wednesday, June 19th, and so excited because we have Debbie Renna-Hynes here today, who I've known for many years. But before I introduce her, we want to go through our Magnetic Wealth Experts mission statement. This is a monthly collaboration Zoom that we do. And so, Doug, will you read our mission statement, please?
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. So, Magnetic Wealth Experts, our mission is to provide every agent with the support and resources to reach their definition of success and sustain it. The value proposition is the collaboration of like-minded people wanting and helping everyone to succeed together. Our vision is to empower every agent in Magnetic Wealth Experts to see their unlimited potential, especially when they can't see it. Our belief system is that we all succeed if one succeeds. What we focus on expands. We can have excuses or results, but not both. And our perspective is that everyone can have whatever they dream with our Magnetic Wealth Experts.
Great, thank you. So today we have Debbie Renna-Hynes. I've known Debbie since 2016. And extremely successful agent without a doubt on that, but also just a wonderful person. Sometimes we text or chat or email once a week on average, and just keep in touch. And of course, we see each other at major events. And but I'll let Debbie tell you more about herself. But I just wanted you to know that one thing is, she's a former school teacher in private schools, which I think number one, that says a lot because anyway, being a teacher, number one is having a passion and not getting a good salary, obviously, usually in the public schools, but in the private schools, it's even more so. But I love it that whenever I hear an agent was a teacher, it doesn't surprise me when I know they're successful because of that background and planning and preparation and following a schedule and things like that. So keep that in mind when you're talking to agents and attracting, because teachers are great ones. And anyway, she's extremely successful. I coined the phrase for her. She said it, but then I've said it a lot, is that she sold one house a day at one time. And she may tell that story, but she just sells a lot of real estate. And I think what I love about her is that I was listening this morning to a book on my walk, and it talked about when you surround yourself with somebody that is, positive and has goals and mindset and driven, it just rubs off on you as well, which is why we should always watch, who we surround ourselves with. But if you're around her, there's no question about what's happening with real estate and how it's going and what she's going to take it. And then, if you talk to someone else, they might say it's doom and gloom and I'm going to get out of the business or whatever. So anyway, so that gives you a little background on her. And so I just really am excited that we have her today to share her playbook with us. So take it away, Debbie.
Oh, thanks, Chuck. You make me sound like I'm like this wonderful thing. But listen, I just do what you all do. I sell real estate. I'm a real estate agent. And, my joke is that I did teach in private and Catholic schools. I taught art. I'm an artist. I actually went to school for biology, and everybody said you have great labs. Maybe you should go into art. So I switched majors and became an art teacher. And 25 years of teaching, 2 master's degrees. When I left that 23 years ago, I was making $33,000 a year. And my joke is that when I worked for the Catholic schools, I worked for God. And when I worked for the private schools, I worked for somebody who thought he was God. And I left there they had absolutely no retirement at all. And so I know some of you have heard that story. I went into real estate, and it was probably the worst financial time that my husband and I could have ever went into, but that's a whole nother story for another time. So what I have to show you today, I've done for New York State Group. I've done at 2 regional rallies that I spoke at, and it's basically my playbook. I told Chuck that I was going to do this. After today, this version is going to be retired because some things not that things have changed, some products have changed that I use, and I'll tell you about that. But I think the most important thing for all of you to remember is this may look like real estate 101. But I've sold a house every day for a long period of time. And then when I decided that I was slightly getting out of productivity, I sold a house every 48 hours. So it didn't really get out of productivity. And at the time I was coaching 95 people. I've been a real estate coach for 15 years. I teach through different various groups. And I recently was with Success, and they just ended that whole thing, but I still have one client left. And I myself continue to, what's that? Somebody, did you say something?
Robert, will
Oh.
you turn your mic off?
And I
Okay,
myself continue to take classes all the time because you know what? Lessons are caught, not taught. I just recently came back from Dallas to hear John Shiplak. And the funny thing with John is I always thought, and I told John, I said, you know, John, I was fortunate to, I don't know, do all of you know who John Shiplak is? He charges like $2,000 for a 20-minute coaching call. I was really fortunate with Success Coaching that we were able to do a 10-week program with John. And I told him, I said, you know, John, I just wanted to let you know that prior to that 10-week program, I thought you were the biggest dick in the world. I would never have wanted to listen to you. And he laughed. And actually, he got a lot of play out of that when he went up on stage. He said, oh, this woman just came up to me and told me I was the biggest dick in the world and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it's kind of funny. But you need to continue educating yourself. You need to continue reading. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I could do a whole 3-hour consultation or presentation on just some of the podcasts that I've listened to within the last few weeks. So you need to continue your education because that's really what's going to be most important. And again, some of you are going to say, oh my God, this is like real estate 101. But you know what? I sell a lot of real estate with it. And if you're not selling a lot of real estate with it, I hope you at least pick up one thing from it. Okay, so let me get started. I told Chuck and Chris that I was going to do it this way because when I do it, can you see this now? Do you see it? Is it there? Do you see
Not yet.
anything? Okay, let me see. Wait, let me see something. Okay, wait a second. I knew I was going to have a problem with this. Okay, share. Okay, here we are. Okay, you can see that now, right? Wait a second. See, I'm not very technological. I wasn't even when I was a teacher. Okay, can you see this now, this quote from Mahatma Gandhi?
Looks good.
Okay, good. So I usually like to post something of a quote. And, you know, I posted this one because when I first got into real estate, people came up to me and they said, oh my God, you're going into the worst profession ever. It's going to take you 5 or 6 years to get started. Even if you get started, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And, you know, they said the same thing when I went over to the Red and Black Company. And of course, when I came over to EXP with there being less than 1,500 agents, this was like what always happened. You know, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, you know, then they fight you because they argue that what you're doing is not really what's supposed to happen. But then at the end, you win. And I think I've proven that in my area. I don't have a lot of people, you know, it's a big conversation that Chuck and I always have. I don't really have a lot of people in my rev share group. I did when I was at KW. I mean, I probably have 350 people in my profit share group at KW, and I do make really good money still. And thank God they didn't take that away. And I'm working on it with EXP. It's just my focuses have changed, and they really should focus more on my rev share because then I could really maybe get out of productivity. So anyway, so this is my quote. And so let me start. So when I got into after a couple of years, I sold 38 homes my first year in real estate. I then the second year sold 42 homes, and I couldn't break that number. It was always around that number. And although it sounds like a lot of homes, I didn't. All the prices were very low. They were like $20,000, $30,000 houses. So I really wasn't making much more than I was teaching, but it helped. It helped me to get my start of what I really wanted to do. I read the book, the MREA book, from cover to cover as a manual, not as a novel. And that also helped to gain a platform, a foundation of where I needed to be. And my one son, who's a very successful certified financial planner, he said to me, Mom, maybe you should get a real estate coach. And I said, Benny, I could hardly afford to put food on the table, and now you're telling me to get a coach. And I would advise all of you to get a real estate coach. If you've never had one, you should get one, or find somebody that you can mentor under, so that this way it's going to help you really to be accountable. Well, my coach I did find a coach, and I found a coach that I was in the trenches, that did what I did every day. It wasn't somebody that just professed that they knew how to sell real estate, but never had the real estate license. And there are a lot of people. And these days, everybody thinks they're a coach. You know, they sell 10 houses and they say, oh, okay, I have something proven, I could sell that. But they didn't sell 200 as a solo agent. How are they going to help you sell 44 if they've only sold 10? So yeah, just do more of it. I guess so. I guess that would be the quick. But anyway, my coach taught me one thing, a very valuable lesson: copy and paste. He didn't invent this stuff. Other people did. And the most important thing is that you copy and paste. Last night, somebody that I was used to coach with my coaching group, she posted something, and it was called Mass Exodus. And I just took what she wrote, I put it through AI. It came out a little bit different. I texted her and I said, Jillian, I'm going to copy your mass exodus thing. Well, I put it all over the place. I put it on all my social media sites. So if you see something, copy it and paste it. Somebody got it from somewhere. Nobody invented this stuff. Well, way back when somebody invented it. So the first thing that you need to work on, I don't know, somebody's mic is open. I could hear them talking.
Yeah, hold
in
on
the
one
background.
second. Chris, will you mute everyone and then unmute Debbie?
Okay, so now you can hear me again, correct? Yes? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. All right, good.
Yes.
So the first and most important thing that you're going to work on is your database. So often we just forget to continuously update our databases. You add telephone numbers into your phone every day. I'm sure you do, because we all do. We all get new clients. We all get people calling in. We all get people that we want to block because we don't want to listen to their spiel anymore. Or like me, I say, okay, stop reading your script. Just give me the bottom line. But the most important thing is your database, and you have several different emails. I'm sure you have people in each one of those emails. You have a cell phone. Your cell phone has a database in itself of just numbers and people that you can add to your database. The other place that you can look is Michael Meyer has this great thing on, just Google it. It's called the Ultimate Memory Jogger. It's like 4 or 5 or 6 pages of different people that you can add to your database daily. When I meet people, I don't even carry business cards anymore. I used to carry 4 different cards. Now I only carry 1. The 4 different business cards were, one was for buyers, one was for sellers, one was for attracting agent, and one was for referrals. The only card that I carry now is the one for referrals. But if I'm in a social setting and somebody said, oh, do you have a business card? I'll say, no, let me have your contact information and I'll get back in touch with you, because I want to make sure that they're in my database. Because the chances are, if I hand out a business card, they're not going to contact me. All right. And that all depends on your disc. I'm not going to do, I do have another presentation that I'm working on a disc. Maybe Chuck will let me do that in a couple months. Your disc is really important. Yeah, right. Your disc is really important, depending on who you're talking to and what your disc is all about. It's so important to know how to interact with people. And I always tell this very brief little story. If you were the DISC, which I'm sure most of you have heard about it, the D stands for dominant. They're people, they don't care if people like them. You know, they just like the bottom line. They like to get things done. They're very dominant. So if somebody with a total D personality, which is impossible just to have one letter, went into a car dealership, they might say to the car dealer person, the salesperson, hey, I want that car, and just give me the bottom line, because I don't have any time for this back and forth. There's another car down the street that I like, and I'll go get that one. Okay, that would be a total D. And I would be somebody that tends to dress a little bit flashier. You can always tell somebody that's a high I at a conference. And I'm not saying this to insult anybody. It's just your personality. An I personality at a conference, they would be the ones that don't have a name tag like this. Theirs might have rhinestones all around it. I like rhinestones. I wear rhinestones, but they would have the rhinestones all around it because they tend to dress a little bit flashier. They're a little bit blingier. They want to be the life of the party. They want everybody to like them. So they're your party type people. Like, let's go out and party. Yeah, let's get this set up. So if an eye walked into a dealership, total eye, they would say something like, Mr. Car Dealer, I want that car because my friends would think I have made it big in real estate. I want that snazzy car. Well, listen, we all have a little bit of eye in us. We all like nice things, right? But they would go for the most bougiest car there because they're the high eye. Okay. They might not even know about the car and they might not even dicker with the price because they just want that car because they would look great in it. Your S personality, if somebody were total S, they would be, the S is very steady. There are people that want to please people. They want to like everybody. They just, that's their, if you said something really bad to an S, like, wow, what did you say to those people inside the room? You left and everybody started to cry. They would be really upset about that. So an S personality that went into a car dealership might say something to the car dealer. I love everything that you have here. Which one do you think would be the best one for me to drive? They would let somebody else make the choice for them. And these are the things that you need to know, especially in real estate, to know how to work with your clients. And then the last one is C. They're the very cautious people. They're the I dotters, the T crossers, people that work very independently, architects, engineers. If they went into a car dealership, they might say to the car dealer, hey, listen, give me the Carfax report, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me all this information about the car, and I'll let you know what I want. And by the time they studied it all, the car would be gone. Right? A new version would come out. So why I tell you all this is because it is so important when you're dealing with people, you need to know about yourself so you know how to deal with other people in different personality traits. I had an agent on my team. I know this is going to sound crazy, but he's been working with $1 million buyer. We don't have many $1 million buyers in Rochester, New York. We have a few, but not very many. Anyway, they ended up putting an offer on a property that was lower priced because now the guy is desperate, needed to buy a house. And there was a house on the market for $500,000. So they put in an offer with an escalation clause that went up to $690,000. The real estate agent, the listing agent, called my agent up and said, hey, listen, there were a few of you that your offers were very similar. If your client will write a new offer at $650,000, we will just accept his offer. We won't even go back to the other agents. So he called his client and said, hey, Steve, you know what? They said if $650,000 will be a number, he went up to $690,000 on the escalation. But if you're happy with $650,000, we can get the house, but we have to write a new contract. So they did, and they got the house. 24 hours later, his buyer said to him, I want to see the escalation clause that made my offer go up to $650,000. And my agent was not their agent. And of course, he called me. And I said, Michael, when you decided to go to that $650,000 number, you gave up that whole escalation portion. But what you have to focus on is what has happened here. He got the house for $40,000 less than what he was planning on spending. He got the house for X amount of dollars lower because he was looking for $1 million house. Think about all the positives, but that only happens if you study DISC. All right. So I would advise you all to do it. I mean, you can find them online. If you don't know, your DISC can change. All right. So I just wanted to add that little small segment in there because I think that's important. Okay. So scripts. What scripts are you using? What dialogues are you using? I know a lot of people don't have any, and every time somebody calls, it's something different. So I would suggest if you don't have a buyer or seller script that you use, that you look at LP Mama. All right, LP Mama is a script that a lot of people use, and what it stands for is location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. I will tell you that the only thing that I have changed on this personally is we don't talk about mortgage. We don't talk about how they're buying the house. We do that when they come in for their consultation. And when you do the script, you shouldn't be on the phone more than, 2 to 4 minutes with whoever you're talking to. The longer you stay on the phone with them, the less chance you have of actually booking a consultation with them, an appointment at their house, in the office, wherever you're meeting them. So just remember that a script and your dialogue is important, especially if you have a team. Everybody should be saying the same thing, because if the Department of State, if you were ever tested and one person said one thing and somebody said something else, then all of a sudden you get into big trouble. Okay, so the first steps after our buyer consultation.
Debbie,
Yeah.
will you, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but will you say that again about just a couple of minutes on the phone? Because as we all know, realtors like to talk and they keep talking. And I think that's a very good point. And somebody here on the call may have been looking at their phone or something and not heard that. I think that's huge.
Okay, so your first client, the first people that you're calling leads, or however you're getting them, or referrals or whatever, that consultation, that first script that you use with them, you should not be on the phone longer than 2 to 4 minutes. If you're on the phone with them 10 minutes, forget about it. Either you're both high eyes and you just really like to talk, or one person's a C and they're taking, and the person on the other end, not you, is taking control of the conversation. 2 to 4 minutes, that's all you need. That's where you want to become that high eye. You want to get to the point. You want to do your script so that it doesn't sound like you're reading it. Listen, how often do you get phone calls and the people are reading from a script? When they call me, I say, do me a favor, put your script away. Let's just talk. Give me your bottom line. Because if it's not something that I want to hear, I don't want to listen to their whole script that they're going to be on the phone with me for 10 minutes. I don't have the time to do that. So I know it sounds kind of, harsh, but I'm telling you the truth. 2 to 4 minutes. That's it. My team and I, we don't leave messages when we call people. We have a program that we work with. We call 3 times the first time we get the lead. We call 3 times the second time we get the lead. We don't leave messages any of those times. And then we call day 3, we call 3 times. If we don't get a hold of them, then we put them on a cycle that we call them once a week, and we call it all different times. And sometimes they will call us back and say, I just got a call from this number, but there was no message. Yeah, okay. So we don't leave messages. And then I go right into my script, what I do with my team. And even if they tell me that they're at work, I'll say, do you have just a minute? And they'll say yes. If they say no, they'll say, call back at another time. We always say to them, okay, what would be a good time? And then we don't call back at that time. We call back either a half an hour before or a half an hour later. And if we can, we call back from a different number. I have 2 cell phones deliberately so that this way I can call from different numbers. But that first conversation is so important, but it can't be a half an hour. Because what you're just trying to do in that 2 to 4 minutes is establishing rapport with that person. So if they say something that you can work on it, but work on it fast. If they say to me something like, I'm from New York City area, but now I live in Rochester. I'm like, oh, I did the same thing. I'm from New York, but I moved to Rochester. And then I go right along into the next question. So just remember that 2 to 4 minutes tops. Okay. All right. So when we do our consultation, which it would be another whole thing here, everybody on my team, we do the same consultation. We say the same exact thing. Again, in case the Department of State ever comes in and checks us, we're all saying the exact same thing. But we send out letters, and this is the letter to the buyer that we send out, and this is the letter that we send out to the seller. We send these out via email, but we also send it out to them in snail mail. And this piece in the middle of the 2 letters, this is something that we included every one of our consultation. And what it does, it talks to them about our worthy cause, because we want them to know that we give money, a portion of our income, back to the community. And we do that through charitable donations for different organizations. Mostly where we give to is to the 2 hospitals. The one hospital, Rochester General, we just we part of another volunteer group that I work with, we just raised $2.6 million for a neonatal intensive care unit. We just had our meeting this morning. That's where I told Chuck, I said, oh, I'm going to leave my meeting and I'm going to make sure I'm here on time. We're raising now $600,000 for the psych ward because it's a mess. Like, I feel very bad because these people have to be in there, but they don't have to live like people. I don't know, the facilities were just awful. And this is in a hospital, and you would never think that the hospital would have facilities like that, but you'd be so surprised at some of the facilities that your hospital has. Personally, I just purchased an alcove in the neonatal NIC center. And that was $10,000. And I did that because I want my team to know that I give money back, they can give money back. And we tell everybody, for each house that we sell, we give a portion of our income, and make sure you use the word income and not commission, because there's some kind of a law that you cannot give a commission back to somebody referrals. But we want everybody to know that we give money back to the community. All right, so these are the letters, same letters that I just showed you, but now we handwrite them and we send them out. And we may include something like this inside there. And this is about our referrals, whoever that we're helping out. If we're helping out the Galisanos Children's Hospital or the Rochester General Hospital, we'll put one of these cards depending on who it is. And we always have, and no matter what we send out, or even any of our ads, we always have this little thing in here. It's called a call to action. We always put call me directly, call me and start packing, call today, call Debbie. That's my call to action. A lot of people have different calls of action, but believe it or not, you have to tell the buying and selling public what to do. They can see an ad and they'll look at the ad and they'll say, that's great. But what am I supposed to do with it? This is what their brain thinks. But now they're going to read something and it says, call me. Oh, my brain's thinking I should call that person. By the way, if you do call, if somebody does call you back, I just thought of this, and you didn't leave a message and you have no idea who it is, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Book the appointment, book the consultation. I've had so many people in the last month that I have no idea what their names were when they came in here. And did I care? No, I just wanted their body to come in here and I wanted to make sure that they're qualified and they could purchase a house. So the first thing I do, I went a little bit out of my consultation packet, was the customer information sheet first. And I said, could you do me a favor? It's protocol for my office. Could you just fill in this top part? Because we have to give it to our admin, and it just has their name, their address, their email address, their home phone if they have one, a cell phone, a work phone. And then once they fill it out, then I know their name. It's very easy. Okay. All right. So the next thing. All right. So then we do other assorted items. We send out, every time we have a buyer or seller consultation up until November, we send out a calendar. Okay. So we're still sending out calendars for 2024, and we will send them out until November. My admin loves all these little stickers that say, I love referrals. I'm indifferent about it, but if she likes them and makes her happy and she can put them on something she sends out, it's just another reminder to the buying public or selling public that we have a referral program. Okay, so then we send out thank you notes, and all of our thank you notes are handwritten. And so the first one is congrats on the sale of your home at the above address. The second one is congratulations on the purchase of your home. And the third one is thank you so much for the referral. And we just like people to know that we're very thankful for everything that we have. And I know this seems like it takes a lot of work, but it really doesn't. If you set yourself on a schedule, if you time block, you can get all this stuff done in a very short period of time. All right, so setting up the appointments. So, oops, where are we? Back to here. So we use showing a centralized showing, not anymore. That's why I have to revamp this. So we use showing time, and showing time is a really great. I wish I knew how to. I don't know how to do it anymore. Sorry, where I could have each one show up individually, but use centralized showing or use a showing time. I know it seems a little, I used to book all my own appointments. And then, when you were carrying 70 listings back in the day, it got to be crazy trying to book all the appointments, calling the sellers. So I was introduced to centralized showing. And of course, now it's showing time. And I don't carry that many listings right now because in our whole entire county, we only have about 450 listings. That's it. And there are 2,600 agents. So I feel lucky if I could list a house once every week or one or two houses every couple of weeks. Just and now I've always taken every listing because I've never been too proud to take a listing, but I also have to think about my commission. So for example, I know you're gonna have a stroke when I tell you this. So when I list a $10,000 or $15,000 house, and that's a house would be in our city that maybe needs total renovation, like you need to wear a gas mask to go in there because it's just, I don't know, whatever happened. For that house, I will charge $6,000 on my side. Okay. I don't care what they pay out to the other side, but I charge 6,000 on my side. And this whole NAR thing, which is a whole nother topic, is not going to affect the way that I do business at all. Because I've never gone into a listing and said, my commission is 6%, and this is how we're going to work it. I'm going to keep 3 and I'm going to pay out 3. I have never said that in 21 years of doing real estate. So back to showing time. All right. So the second piece over here, a lot of agents ask a whole bunch of questions. I don't think it's important. I don't think the seller wants to know, how did your house compare to the other ones you looked at? What did you think about the color? Rate it on a scale of 5. My sellers, I don't know about yours, they only want to hear 3 things. They only want to know one thing. They want to know if the people are going to buy their house, if they're getting an offer. That's it. So we ask, are your clients buying this house? We actually had to change that because it originally said, are you buying this house? And an agent wrote back, I'm not in the market looking at houses right at this time. And I just shook my head. So we added in there, are your clients buying this house? Why aren't your clients buying this house? And what would make them buy the house? And now you find out, well, if it's the location or the layout, there's nothing you could do. But we once had a person that said they really liked the house, but they really did not like the color of 3 of the bedrooms. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. I mean, like it's a can of paint. So I wrote back to the agent. I said, listen, we will have those 3 bedrooms painted the colors of your choice if we can get this deal together. Sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes it's just thinking outside the box a little bit. I mean, because that's what you need to do. All right. So we had an agent once that showed the house 3 times. And 3 times they wrote, they really like the house. We've seen a lot of other houses, but this is the house they really like. Okay, so I called the agent. What's the problem? Why aren't they writing an offer? And they said, well, I don't know. They're just really nervous. So I called my client up and I said, we're going to write a reverse offer. And for those of you that don't know what a reverse offer, it's when somebody is interested in your property, but the other agent really doesn't know how to close them because they haven't studied DISC and they don't know how to talk to their client. You're going to write them an offer. And of course, when your seller writes the offer to them, you can write up the best terms and conditions because it's everything that your client wants. And now I'm going to present it to the buyer side. So I called up the agent and I said, do you know what a reverse offer? And she said, oh, of course I know what a reverse offer is. And I said, okay, we're going to write one to you. Oh, really? And I said, yes. So we wrote a reverse offer. And again, you can't make this stuff up. They countered our offer and they ended us paying more money than than my client wrote for them. So clearly she had no idea what a reverse offer is. But these are different tools. It's all what you have in your toolbox. Did I know 12 years ago about escalation clauses? Yes, I did. Why? Because I took classes. I had coaches. I worked with, you guys probably had escalation clauses 12 years ago, but Rochester, New York didn't. Okay. So now all the companies that told me back then, you can't do this. And I said, yes, I can. You have to present every offer that's written now they have their own forms. I crack up. I tell their managers, oh, I see you have your own form now for escalation clauses. Anyway, it's kind of funny. All right. And then as soon as I get an offer on the property, now it's a little bit different because we're doing delayed negotiations. But then I will send out a message to all the agents telling them that I will make sure I have these offer in hand, because I don't ever say I'm getting an offer, because I think that might put a jinx on the whole thing. But as soon as I have 1 or 2 offers in hand, I will send a notice to all the other agents that are looking at the property and saying, just to let you know, we are expecting 2 offers. I know it's fabricating the truth a little bit because I've already got the offers in hand. Just wanted to let you know. And then the last question that I ask is for agents to check out this site. And I have a website that goes into a portal that goes to a page that looks like this, which I don't use that page anymore. It's a different one, so I have to update that. But it's talking about a high-level real estate career opportunity. So that's with that. Okay, so next are events. So what do we do for events? So this happened many years ago. We were sitting around a table. It was a mortgage lender, my 2 admin, a couple of the agents on my team, and we said, what can we do to really make ourselves be a little bit more noticeable? I watched a great podcast between a gentleman that I just finished coaching with, Ben Newman, who I've been following for many years, and I was very blessed and fortunate that I could do an 8-week program with him called Coach to Coach. And it was probably one of the most amazing classes I've taken. And I was watching a podcast between Ben Newman and Ed Milet, 2 of my favorite people that I listen to. And Ed said to Ben, geez, Ben, why don't more people know who you are? And I say that all the time. Why don't people know who I am? Like, why don't people know who I am? And so I wrote Ben a letter. I said, Ben, we have so much things in common. Like I say this, what Ed says about you, why don't you more people know? I say that about myself. And it ended up all these different things that Ben is alike. I said, the only difference is you have a jet and I don't. I said, but I'm putting that on my vision board. And of course, he wrote back this very funny thing. And, and I do have it on my vision board now, because you just don't ever know what could happen in your life. And if you don't put it down, an idea does not become reality unless you put it down and make it become reality. Okay. So,
You know what? Say that again, please.
So an idea is only an idea unless you put it down to make it become a reality. If you think it's not going to happen. But if you put it down, when I was just out in Dallas with John Shiplack, I had no idea who was going to this thing. It was called Maverick Business Leadership Mastermind. I had no idea who was going to be at this thing. I just went. I figured if it wasn't a great program, I have 2 really good, my best friend lives out there and another really close girlfriend lives out there. I could just blow off the whole conference and spend the day with them and do shopping and stuff like that, because they got stores over there that they don't have in Rochester, New York. So the conference ended up being amazing. But I ran into a gentleman who I coached. I was his absolute first coach. And he thanked me so much for getting him to where he was, made my heart feel so good that I helped change a life. Because that's what I really try to do, is I like to inspire people to be a better version of themselves. And he said, and Debbie, when you told me to make that vision board, I laughed at you. He said, there hasn't been one time in the last 14 years that I don't make a new vision board every day. My kids make them. I tell everybody on my team make them. He says, because, excuse my language, he said, but that shit comes true. You put it down just like you said, and it comes true. So anyway, so we wanted to do more events. So we started out by doing this. I picked this name, I Love You a Latte. And what we do is we go into different coffee shops. We had to stop during COVID. Now we started up again. The last one was at a chai place. So instead of, I'd say, I love you a latte, come down. Now I say, I'm trying to meet you. I do a little video. I'm trying to meet you. And what we would do is we would get a gift card like for $200, and anybody that came through the line as we were there, we would tell the barista just pay for their beverage, not any food, but all their beverage. And if they want to know, give them one of our referral cards and tell them we're sitting over in the corner. And it really wasn't to pick up business. We wanted to tell them about our worthy cause. And many of the times we do for the Golisano's Children's Hospital. And it was amazing to us how many people had stories. Everybody has a story about either their child being at the Galasanos Children's Hospital, a friend's story, you know, everybody has a story about that place. And it's where the first Ronald McDonald House was erected. So my team will go in, I think we're scheduled in 2 months to go in and make a breakfast for all the people that are staying at the Ronald McDonald House at that time. So we really try to make ourselves noticed in the community. We took a play on this with I Love You a Latte, and we send out a newsletter. And so in February, we send out, we love you a lotto, and we wish you a lotto luck. And for 100 random people, we send $1 scratch off lottery ticket. And in March, it's wishing you the luck of the Irish. Well, Elizabeth Riley, who I'm sure you all know who she is, she loved this idea so much that she started doing this in her newsletter too, and a play on the words. So it's on social media. We don't have a lot of likes on there, but we tell everybody, and we tell everybody about our worthy cause. And believe it or not, we have gotten referrals from sitting there in the corner, and it wasn't about telling them about who we are. And, oh, we're realtors in the community. No, we talked about our worthy cause. All right. So that's that. So this is what we hand out, something like that. And then again, it goes to a website that talks about how we can improve patient care. And these are just some pictures. We post everything, you know, on social media, because I think that's really important. Then we have our referral parties. So our client appreciation parties. Once a quarter, we have a client appreciation party. It's always a breakfast. And the reason I do breakfast is because I don't want to have any alcohol involved, because I do have some clients that, you know, are very prominent people in the community, but they're in recovery. And I don't want them to think that I'm promoting alcoholism early in the morning. So we have a client breakfast. I have a breakfast because it's the cheapest meal of the day. and I don't like to spend a lot of money on some things. But anyway, so we send this out, and each quarter we invite the people who we sold houses for, the people who have purchased houses for, and the people who have given us referrals. And we do it at the Rochester Yacht Club, where my husband and I are members. It's a really pretty facility. It looks right out at Lake Ontario, and there's not a better view. A lot of people ask me what I give away as housewarming gifts, and I don't give away housewarming gifts, because my housewarming gift to them is a referral to one of these, you know, whether it's the Vietnam vets or the Humane Society or to the hospitals. That is our gift. However, when they come to our client appreciation breakfast, we give a Cutco knife. And I have several different knives. So in case they've already had one, they can pick out a different one. And we always, doesn't matter what company that I've been with, I always get the ones with the red handles, because those will be the most noticeable ones in the drawer. And Cutco knives are 100% tax deductible. Okay, they're marketing. Then once a year, we have a dinner and cocktail party, and we invite the top 10 referral people that have given us the most referrals, the top 10. And people always say, how do I get to go to that dinner? Well, you have to give us referrals. So we invite the top 10 people, and we have this very nice dinner. Okay, so we always have a photographer on site, and some of the more dressier ones, that's at our dinners. The more casual ones are at the breakfast, and we always have a photographer, and the photographer, you know, takes the pictures, and we send them to the people, or we post them on Facebook or wherever we post them. And many people have used them for their Facebook sites now, or they've used them for their holiday cards, and it really ends up being a lovely thing for everybody involved. Okay. We do a lot of our marketing pieces through Canva. I'm sure all of you know about Canva, so I don't think I have to really speak too much about that. I do a weekly update on social media. Every week I post how many houses come on the market, how many houses just were listed, how many houses went under contract, and how many were reported sold for that week. I do it like the week after, and that's all done through Canva. And then we make our own. Well, I do like making the brochures, because then I feel like I'm going back to my artistic roots, but my admin obviously does it now. But once in a while I'll say, no, I'll take care of it. I like doing that. Do you have time in your schedule? I say, yes, I time block everything. She knows that my schedule drives her absolutely insane, because she looks at all these different colors that I have, and then she teases me and she says, you don't have enough green ones in there. The green ones are activities that make me money. Okay, so those are that. Let's see. These are some other ideas that we do for Facebook. We post we will post our newsletter on different sites. Just a lot of, anything that you can do. We have a referral reward program. So if you refer somebody to us, we'll give you a $500 gift card. Well, it's not really a gift card to go shopping anywhere, but it's a gift certificate card that if you list your house with us, we'll give you $500 off of your commission that we charge. Okay. So, and I don't really call that taking a hit of my commission, because I think some of you would be surprised at what I charge for commissions. So anyway, we'll keep moving along because I want to make sure there's room for questions. Let's see what's next. Oh, we tell stories. So these are ideas of stories that we tell. Whenever we write one of these stories, which we really don't write them enough, and now with AI, we really should be writing more stories. But you can see there's always, call us today, call us. You can see that if somebody, call our team today, we tell a story. We had a gentleman, it took him 5 years to buy a house. Just he had some financial problem. I think I'm ready. And I said, okay, great. And he wanted to buy a house. And the biggest thing about the house was he wanted to make sure it had a big enough walk-in closet for his wife. His wife did not know that he was buying a house. And it was right around the holidays. And he closed it right before Christmas. My son Adam is my I have a team, but Adam is my partner. We do everything together, kind of like Doug and Chuck. And we put a big red bow on the door, and he came with his wife, and we took a picture, and we posted a story about that. Of course, we didn't talk about his financial problems that he had, but that we had to work through the hoops to get him a mortgage, and 5 years later he's buying a house for his wife. And I will tell you that when you post stories like that, people listen to you. And the direct messages that I got from posting those really feel good stories, I'm a high D. Probably most of you could tell that, but maybe you can't because I'm talking a lot. So that makes me a high I, but I really am a high D. And for such a high D I am so sensitive, because when I get those messages, I cry. I do cry. Chuck has made me cry. I'm like, in a good way. Right, Chuck? I always tease Chuck about he made me cry one day, but you know what? He was freaking right. He said something to me that just, it hit that weak point that said, Chuck is right. And he is right. He's always right. Okay. So anyway, write stories about your clients. Talk about how you met them. Even if it was a bought lead, talk about the journey that you went through. These make great stories, but they also will make great reviews for when your client is ready to write one for you, because you can remind them about all these things. So here are just a couple of more stories. Here's one where our clients wrote a story and then we used it, and of course, their friends see it, our friends see it, our client base sees it, and that's what happens. Okay, so connect the clients. So this gentleman, Ray, up in the top left-hand corner, Ray, I met online. I actually got him off of a Craigslist lead. I posted something on Craigslist and he came back, and he always texted me at really weird hours sent me an email at weird hours of the night. And I did my script to him, even though it was through email. And he said, oh, I'm going away for a little bit. I won't have access to my computer, but I'll definitely meet with you when you went back. Anyway, I never thought to Google him. Okay, that wasn't a thing. This was many years ago when I still use Craigslist, believe it or not. Anyway, all of a sudden he was away and he's still sending me emails. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy might be like one of these creepers. He might be clickbait. Of course, they didn't have those names for people like Ray back then. But then he came back into town and he said, let's get together. Let's do one of your, whatever your consultation is. And I said, sure. So I made sure that there was somebody else at the office when I was going to meet him. But prior to him meeting, I Googled him, because now somebody said, did you Google him? And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So I Googled Ray, and it ended up, it was an obituary that came up, and I'm like, oh, good Lord, here we go. But it ended up that it was an obituary for a family, and Ray was their doctor, and that Ray was such a kind person, and he gave his family such loving care. And I said, you know what, this is a good person. We met. Anyway, Ray has turned me on to all these, everybody in this picture is another doctor. And when the people down here, they live in Texas now, they had their house listed with another agent, and they weren't very happy. And so their friends said, oh, you should call our agent, Debbie. So I said, fine. I came over. I told him what he needed to do. I told him what he needed to do, and he got the house sold within, a few days. It was wonderful. But before, when I listed the house, I sent their listing to these people, and I said, hey, Ehab and Rania, do you remember Ragai and Angie? Well, I listed their house. Could you please post it on your social media or send it out to other doctors? Then I sent them a message. Hey, remember you gave me so-and-so? Well, their friends, could you? And that's how it went all the way back to Ray. And this is how networking happens. There's a great book out there. It's not a big read. It's called Networking is Not Working. And I can't think of who the author is, but it's about creating your own networking as opposed to having to go to all these network events like a BNI or master speakers or whatever those things are. This is about creating your own network. And then this is another client group that I have, and it all started was this young woman was one of my students many years ago. In fact, when my husband and I got married, she was our selected altar server, and so we've had a really strong connection, and they introduced us to other people. And I know these two people look the same, but they're actually two different people, but they just really look a lot alike. Anyway, they turned us on to this person, this person, this person. And these people didn't know any of these people. But what happened was when this group introduced me to this couple, I listed their house. She told me about this person. These people just saw my signs on their street, and so decided to call me because they said I had the whole street locked up. I had like 4 listings on that particular street. Okay, we have another Facebook site. I have like 13 or 14 Facebook sites, and the sites that I have all for our different things. And one of them is called Renna-Hynes Pros, and that's where we post any review that we get. We post it here. Let's see what's the next. These are just some of the reviews. And then thank you cards. And then most importantly is not to forget about your team. If you have a team, make sure you do special things for them. Birthday parties. We go out for breakfast. We go out for lunch. We celebrate birthdays. Every year we give out blessing bags. I've researched blessing bags, like nobody makes better blessing bags than me. Double bag them in plastic, all the things that they tell you that people less fortunate or homeless people need, we do, and we give those out once a year. And that's it. So that's like my playbook in a very fast hour. And we have 5 minutes left. If anybody has any questions I'm happy to answer anything.
Wow.
I know that was a lot.
Well, thank you. I took 4 pages of notes.
Yay.
I write big, but I did. And that book that you just mentioned, because I love books, Networking is Not Working. It's easy to find, but it's by Derek Coburn.
Yeah. And there's another really good book also, another very short book, and it's called Perk Your Sphere. And it's all about client referrals and what you can do. It's very small book. And so we call them raving fans, right? So like where I give my client appreciation a dinner, I have some people that I've coached that what they do is once a month to anybody that gives them a referral, they send over a box that you can buy these all online that says like raving fans or my favorite clients or whatever. And there's little things inside it. In fact, I've done many of those things through Mailbox Power.
That I love that. And I just was looking at some things I wrote down. I love that lessons are caught, not taught. I love
That's
that
my
too.
husband.
So
I do have to give credit to my Jim for that, because Jim always says that.
That's so true. Does anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts? I mean, so let me ask you, Debbie, while we're waiting on somebody, how many houses have you sold this year? Now the year's almost
43.
half over.
I think it's 43.
43,
Yeah, some
wow.
haven't closed yet, some are new construction, but I'm halfway, I capped, and now I'm halfway to being my 8th icon.
If I remember correctly, your average price point at like 250, 275?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have no
So,
houses. And we have no
and we have
houses.
no and we have no houses. How, so that's a good question. How are you getting them when you have no houses? Do you have a solution for that? I know you've got a
Well,
huge
I do
database,
just
but
I just showed you. I send out newsletters. So okay, so like I am really old school and I like to have an office to go to because my house, Jim and I bought a house that we never intended to live in it, and it's very small. And when Elena came to visit, we were in construction of it, and it's still very, very small. Jim works out of the house. Jim is one of the managing brokers for New York State. I can't work with him. And we're both too loud inside the house. We always say inside voices, and I say, I'm Italian. This is my inside voice. So I have a place that I purchased. I was renting up until just a year ago. I just bought a place that I have my office in, and I think I'm going to put it back on the market because it's so ridiculous that I have this, but I've turned it into a co-work space. I've got therapists that rent from me. I've got an Airbnb in 2 of the rooms. So, and it's more that I really want to do right now, only because that I really enjoy going down to Florida, and I don't really need it. So anyway, that's another whole story for another time. But I decided to incorporate since I moved, the people in my neighborhood. It's not just databases. Well, I only sent out 2 newsletters not since I've been here, but after my second newsletter, I already got 3 appointments for listings. One is a buyer and a seller. And the other 2 are moving out of the area. So I sent out referrals for them. So incorporating that, we're always trying to do something to let people know about what we do. And a lot of it is now through social media. But, so I have this thing I call Strive for 5. So every day I send out 5, this would be maybe to 5 different people that, that are in my database. So the Strive for 5 is 5, and I know Hank Eggbank has one that's bigger than mine. I think it's like 20 something, but I send out 5 cards a day. All right, just random people from my database. Then I send 5 text messages, and it might be something just like, hey, you were really heavy on my head today. I just thought I'd reach out to you. Or the other morning. So I have, I start my day off with prayer and meditation. And for some reason, a real estate agent, in my prayer, she just became very visual. Don't know why. I mean, I think everything is fine with it, but I reached out to her. And so she said, I still really want to get together and talk to you about EXP. I said, yeah, that's fine, but that's not what this text message was about. I just wanted to let you know that you were in my thoughts and you came up in my morning prayer, and I just wanted to reach out to you. Okay. So 5 text messages a day, 5 emails. I think emails are the worst thing in the world, because I think so much in an email can be misconstrued by younger people like to put exclamation points next to everything. My age group, you put exclamation point, people say, why are you yelling? Why are you doing that? Why are you putting that in? Well, because the young kids do it, and I'm pretending I'm young, right? So emails are like my last resort. Although if you get coached by John Shiplak, he'll tell you to send out 100 emails a week. And the 100 emails, you respond to the 2 or 3 that respond back to you. So sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. But it's another form. Then I do 5 direct messages on Facebook to somebody that's on Facebook. And then I also try to do 5 likes on Facebook just to start a conversation on a thread. In addition to the 5 direct messages, those will be to somebody else. And that literally, come on, that takes 2 minutes. How much, if you had to really think about how much, I think you can find out on your phone how much time you actually spend on social media. And so it's really easy to do something like that. It's just keeping in touch with people and putting yourself out there and making sure that people know who you are. And like I told you with Ed Milet saying to Ben Movement, I don't more people know who you are. Well, you know what? I want more people to know who I am. And I want them to know what I do for the community, in the community, and how I can get your house sold for top dollar and fast, and for the buyers to get you the best price or find you a home buyer grant if you're first time. We still have those here, first time home buyer, but just to really let them know who we are. So that's what we do, Chuck.
It's amazing. Anybody have a question? Wendy Wilkins.
Hi, Debbie. Thanks. That was amazing. I was trying to keep up with all the notes.
I know. I talked fast only because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get the whole, if I did it slow in a whole hour. So
No problems. So I have two questions.
absolutely.
One, you said the newsletters in the neighborhood. Do you mean snail mail? Drop them in their mailboxes?
Yes.
Okay. That was
Well, we don't drop them. We send them out by mail. So, again, talk to your lenders, talk to, we use attorneys, title companies or whatever. Sometimes people are more than happy to help you out, especially if they know that, my lenders will help me out with anything that I ask them for. They're great because they know that I do a lot of business and they know that I'm going to help them with their business as well. And, I have a whole story about a lender that never gave me anything. And I asked him for a lead and he says, well, you do okay. I have to give those out to other people. And I said, okay, well, I guess they need you more than I need you. And he told me I was breaking his heart. And I said, just telling you the truth. I never used him again. So, and I know that sounds a little harsh, but you know what? We're all in this together and we have to work together. So yes, I send out probably, now including the neighborhoods, the streets around here, probably send out about 2,000 pieces of mail.
Right. Great. And the second question was, you said you have all these Facebook pages. How do you keep track of all the, because I have about 3 and it's hard to keep track of.
I don't know. I just do. I think it's maybe it's because I get a B12 shot once a month. I don't know. I just do. When I actually Facebook has made it really easy because when I have a listing or something else I want to post, I don't post everything on all the different sites. Okay, so if I have a listing, I post them on every one of the sites. But now Facebook has actually made it easier because they'll say, do you want to share this to other pages? And you could like click 3 or 4 and it automatically, otherwise I just, I time block. I'm a huge, I should probably show you my calendar, but we'll do that another time. I'm a huge time blocker. So if I have a listing that I'm going to put on social media, I block off a half an hour to make sure that it gets on all social media sites.
Right. Thank
So
you.
I just really watch my time.
Thanks.
Very structured and detailed
Okay.
and planned on purpose, right? Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, because my one son who wants me to come over and watch his babies, I told him I was doing a presentation from 2 to 3 today, and he said, okay, he's already chimed in. Are you done? Are you done? It's 4 minutes after 3. So I just have to, it's okay, he can wait. Anybody else have any questions? I'm an open book.
Yeah,
So
any other questions?
I don't mind sharing. I didn't invent this stuff.
I think it'd be interesting, and we probably don't have all the time for it, but I'd love to hear your approach to commission, because you'd mentioned that a few times, and especially with all the NAR stuff, and we're all kind of trying to navigate how we're going to handle that, and everybody's got their individual ways. But I thought it was interesting how you said that you never did, oh, it's a 6% commission, and I'm going to give 3% and this and that.
I've never done that.
You just do a rate, like this is my rate.
Yep. And I'd be happy to do that, but I think I would want to do that where
Maybe
you
we do
didn't
another
post it on your
call
media
about
site.
commission with all of this happening, and or maybe we do a round table or something, because I think
know,
that'd be useful.
Doug, it is interesting because I have agents calling me all the time, or even, even these top people that were in Dallas, like they're all saying, wow, this is all going to change so much with NAR. And I'm like, wait a second, there never was a standard commission.
Right.
Right. Yeah, a few agents really ruined it for all of us by saying that, but there never was a standard commission. And I've never worked like that. So yeah, I'd love to do that, because I think that, listen, I have only twice, well, couple more times than twice, but when I was with this one company, I've always signed buyer's agency agreements, always.
Yeah.
Except for when I was at this one company, a local company, and they said, we don't do that here. And then I left that company and I went to Remax. And my first 2 deals that I did not have buyer agent agreement signed. And that was also when I used to put the customer information sheet on our administrative page. And those 2 people were stolen by the listing agent who I put offers in their house. So I never again put people's information. I'll put their name, but that's it. And I never again have worked with anybody that didn't sign a buyer's agency agreement. And I've got some great stories about that. So I'd be happy to talk about that.
I think that's the best thing that's going to come out of the NAR settlement, because agents don't do it. And I had a call actually last week, somebody asked me about how to handle that and everything. And, I'm just like thinking in my head, this won't happen in the future,
No, it won't.
or at least you'll know about it, But anyway, thank you for doing this. There's so much in here. I love your array with 11 clients because I have somebody like that too. And, but I guess what I want to say is one thing, if this is recorded, so you can go back and listen to this. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but on YouTube, you can turn up the speed so it goes faster. Not that Debbie talks slow, but you can turn it to go faster to catch points. And that way you can write down things, but like vision board, funny. I've taught the class, but I've never really done one for myself. So I'm going to do one now that you said this. And then the other thing about the Cutco knives, the red, that's such a good point, the red handle, because I know I have a red one in my drawer and you're right, you see it. But anyway, and then the other thing that I thought was so good, I want to look it up, is the ultimate memory jogger. I think that's going to be great too.
That's great
thank
because
you.
it will just give you like every different category that maybe you didn't think of. So, oh yeah, I know somebody like that. Oh yeah, I know somebody. I could put them back in there into my database.
I would just say too, that for all of us listening, if Debbie's doing all these things, I don't know, some of you think, oh, I don't know if I do that or not. What I want you to realize is she sold 43 homes and the half the year is not over yet. So it doesn't matter what price point that she's in, it's 43 transactions. And I know you'd do a whole lot more if you wanted to and had more time to do things and stuff, but that's what's important to me, is these things you're doing are working, and it's just great examples. And I always love to see you and talk with you, and we could talk all day, but thank you so much. And we are recording this, so we'll send it out. And everyone, feel free to share this with someone you're working with, another agent, just to, the camaraderie that we have, because we just want to educate agents and help each other. All right. Have a great week.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. And if you ever need me, just reach out to me. If I can answer the phone, I will.
Bye, Debbie.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye,
so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. I don't know how to get out of here.